You are listening to the Wrestlebox Podcast. Hi and welcome to the latest episode of the Wrestlebox Podcast. I am your host, Paul, the Hat Guy Flinders, and joining me this week is our good friend, Lewis Ogden.
How are we doing?
How's your week been? Have you had a good week?
Not been too bad. Bit of ups and downs. I'm not particularly feeling that great. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but soldiering on, doing me bit.
Didn't know you lived in Blackpool. You know, that tends to be the way people, residents of Blackpool, tend to be 24/7. I'm not doing so bad. I'm on like a keep fit health sort of thing. I've been doing it for the past 2 weeks now.
I've noticed on your Facebook page just you're progressively running a bit more every day.
Yeah, I'm doing more walks. So, I did start originally just doing gentle jogging. Realised that was torture and near enough died after a mile. Trying to run a mile and a half. I nearly ended up crawling, just using my chin. That's the only energy I had left. So I thought, fuck this shit, I'm going to try walking instead, walking at a fairly decent pace now. Luckily, being in Blackpool, we've got a nice flat area of land called the Promenade. So I've been doing 4.5 mile walks every day.
Lovely.
And I've been doing, don't laugh, I've been doing Slimming World as well, but not going to the meetings. I haven't been going to the meetings. I've just been basically doing the food and stuff like that. It's ridiculous what you can do on it. I mean, I've been having massive plates of curry with massive amounts of rice, and it's all they do these things called sins. And if, say, for example, if you have one piece of a medium-sized slice of brown bread with butter on, that's 3 sins, and you're allowed. Me, my weight, my height, I'm allowed, I think, 25 sins a day.
Right, okay.
So, for example, this massive curry with rice and what have you in it, that's only got, that's no sins at all.
Cracking.
You have, you'd think of curry would be fairly, not that nice. Yeah. But my missus makes this absolute killer curry. It's got mushy peas in it and everything.
Oh, right, okay.
And you can't even tell, mushy peas are free.
Yep.
And instead, like I said, I made a transition. I used to go for a bar of chocolate or a bag of crisps, if I was feeling peckish. Now it's an apple or some grapes or something like that. And in 2 weeks, I've dropped £9.
Cracking.
It's absolutely mental.
Big congrats to you, man.
It's easy. Thank you for that, mate. But it's easy done.
Yeah.
It is really easy done. It makes you realise. Like I say, I think I weighed 212 pounds. Now, technically, me being a fat shit, I'd actually technically qualify to be a cruiser.
Yeah, you're technically a cruiserweight.
I'm technically a cruiserweight. I don't look like one. Fucking hell. But technically I'm a cruiserweight. Well,
appearances can be deceiving, can't they?
Very true. Well, Kevin Owens is a perfect example of that. I mean,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Look at the shit he can do. Gearing myself up for a very unrelated wrestling sport later this month. As my close friends know, I'm a massive, avid motorsport fan as well as wrestling fan. And I intend to watch, I wouldn't say all of it because I never do. I do try. But I intend to try and watch the entirety of the Le Mans 24 Hours this year. And I tried it last year with Alan, who's, as regular listeners know, he's on the show as well. He's an avid motorsport fan as well as I am. He actually managed the whole 24 Hours last year. Absolutely no idea how we did it. I'm assuming matchsticks of some description. But I had to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, woke up at 6.
Yeah.
And luckily I missed absolutely fuck all.
Well,
I was very lucky. All I missed was a Porsche set on fire. That was about it. But yeah, I do intend, if Alan's watching it with me, I may do the odd live show using the Wrestlebox thing, but do it as a separate show.
Yeah,
so if you're a motorsport fan, you know, while we're watching Le Mans, we might do a quick 45-minute here or there show.
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, might as well. I'm paying for the live shows. I don't fucking use them. I may as well use them for something. But I do intend to do PCW previews and reviews on the fly when we start going to the shows again in the second half of this year. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Speaking of PCW, I may be going to the show at Vogue tomorrow night.
Fantastic.
I am technically supposed to be working, but I'm feeling that rubbish that I'll probably just pull a sickie and just end up going.
Fucking do it. I would love to go, but I've got all sorts of shit on, if I'm brutally honest. Do you know what? I have not actually... Speaking of which, I did have notes for the show. I've not even written down the rundown for the PCW show. So I'm hoping you've got some notes. if not...
I don't have notes, but I have, like, sort of things off the top of my head.
I tell a lie. I do have the rundown because I run a prediction league.
You do indeed.
While we're talking about PCW, we may as well do the rundown now before we do the news.
Yep.
We've got, like I say, I do the prediction league on Facebook. Join it. It's free for anybody to join if you're a fan of PCW, whether you watch it on the DVDs, whether you watch it on demand, whether you go to the shows. If you go to the shows, why the fuck haven't you said hello? Yeah, I've pretty much got the card written down in my book. I have a little book that goes back. I've got every single result written down in my book for PCW because of the prediction league. From Fourth Be With You. So
fucking hell, that's a while.
That's a year ago.
Right.
So like I said, because I do the prediction league, I haven't got these academy shows written down because I don't know enough about the guys.
Yeah.
To do like that sort of thing. The cards aren't that well. They are actually, but like I say, we can't really form predictions on them because we don't know the background on them. And
yeah, because you can't really judge them from like going to one show, can you?
Exactly. This is my point. This is the point. So, but yeah, I've got the card written down here. Obviously, my little book, my PCW Bible. You know, so we'll start off the order I've written it down in. It's not necessarily going to be the running order, but what the idea of the show is, it's PCW. There can only be one, and basically the idea of the match, the whole evening, is basically you could call it one giant sort of 2-stage match.
Yeah,
in a way, because each of the matches on this card are qualifiers for the main match at the end of the night.
Yeah.
So all the winners of the matches, whether it be a tag team match or a single match, all qualify for the gauntlet match at the end of the night. And the winner of the match at the end of the night gets a title shot at the tribute show, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, June 25th.
That's right,
One with Billy Gunn and Rob Van Dam.
This is it. So yeah, in front of 3,000 people, it's a big event. It's a big match. So we'll go into the card.
They're also looking. They promoted on their Twitter page that they're possibly going to be putting it on iPay-per-view.
Oh yes, yeah. I've responded to this before. They're getting a professional film crew down, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
So it's a good idea because it'll showcase PCW in an extremely good way because they've already sold out. Well, you can't really call a free show a sellout, but they've filled all the spaces, and it would look amazing. 3,000 people. Now, we've been there at the Flag Market when there's 3,000 people there. Yeah. Now, the atmosphere won't be the same because A, it's not got a closed roof on it.
No.
B, you're going to passers by. But for this free show, you've gone to have to sort out the show. So therefore, you're going to be somewhat of a wrestling fan to go, or you know somebody you're wrestling.
Bought the tickets, like
exactly. This is my point. This is the point. So it's going to be full on wrestling, guys, and so there's going to be some atmosphere there. You know, will probably resemble something similar to a WWE house show, perhaps.
I don't know. It's always got the possibility of being so, but I always sort of look at it as the equivalent of like the show that they did in Blackpool, and you know, I don't know if like people pay for that or not, but that was sort of like indoors, and there was plenty of people there, but there wasn't really that much of an atmosphere for it.
Yeah, it's because of the high roofs. Because I was there for NXT in the same venue, and it was fucking phenomenal. That venue for wrestling, it was amazing. Even if you had the cheap seats, I was pretty much in the clouds.
Yeah.
And I had an amazing view. There's a couple of pictures on my Facebook you probably have seen of my view, and it was absolutely brilliant. Awesome. Absolutely amazing. Anywhere in that place you could have got a decent view. But I think in regards to the PCW show that was in Blackpool, the free show, I think if he chose to sit down near ringside, which Darren did, you had to pay for them.
Right.
But if you was going if you were doing standing or if you're standing on the balconies, then it was free. Right. Now, if people are wondering what this place looks like, if you're into the darts, it's they tend to come near Christmas time, just after Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's they do the darts there, and it does other sporting venues anyway. It's very reminiscent of the Hammerstein Ballroom, actually.
Yeah, to an extent.
With the three tiers of two tiers of balconies. So it's a good little wrestling venue. Anyway, back to this.
That's the rundown of There Can Only Be One.
Yes. Obviously, like I said, I've just said all these matches are qualifiers. The first qualifier is Lionheart versus Drew Galloway.
That's an interesting one, because the last time that they went to Glory tournament, wasn't it? And he was a heel. And they've got Lionheart at the moment as sort of like as the snotty heel that can't win any matches.
He either wins the match or he fucks off not partway through.
Yeah, so I can only imagine that they're bringing in Drew as a face, possibly.
Well, I don't know, because isn't he working a heel, in the feud with Noam Dar?
That's what I was thinking. But I'm thinking if Noam's going to WWE, like he is appearing at the show as just sort of like as a farewell, there is an opportunity for sort of like them to either bury the hatchet or progress it a little bit more for when Noam comes back from this Cruiserweight challenge series or whatever it's called.
That's if he does come back. But
yeah,
like originally he was down. I think he was chalked down to have a match with Drew Galloway in a 3 Stages of Hell match, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, wasn't he?
But because I think he's caught a bit of a niggle. And now he is cleared to wrestle, but I think as far as I'm aware, they don't want to risk it, basically getting worse so it'll fuck up his WWE match. So fair play to Fludder, he's thinking about his future rather than, a few quid in his pocket. But like I say, Lionheart versus Drew Galloway is no slouch of a match. It's, Lionheart's a great worker.
Yeah.
Drew Galloway's Drew Galloway. We all know what Drew Galloway can do.
Yeah.
I can't see that being a crap match at all. I think it's going to be a great match.
I can't see that being awful.
I think that's going to be the first half main event, if I'm brutally honest, looking at this card.
Might be.
Because, you're going to have the main event, obviously, is the gauntlet match. That's probably the most high-profile match on the card. I'd go with that.
Yeah.
I'd go with that first half, and then you got your photos at half-time, haven't you? So that works for me.
Potentially, with the TNA World Champion. Yeah.
Now, here's a question for you. Who do you think would win? Who's going to go over in this match?
I can't see Drew not losing.
I can only concur with that. Lionheart, to be honest with you, his form is at the minute, win or lose, it's a bit sporadic. It wouldn't hurt him either way. Drew Galloway,
no,
he needs a name in that match. So, in my opinion, whoever gets the rub, it won't be Drew Galloway that wins the match at the main event. But
I don't know, I can see the potential of sort of like, June 25th, PCW champion versus TNA World Champion.
Possibility. Yeah, that would draw some.
That would be a big selling point, particularly if they're doing it on iPay-per-view.
Yes, it would. It would get some eyes on the screen, wouldn't it? It would bring some, like I say, a lot of people will be talking about it as well. So yeah, maybe, perhaps so. Yeah, but definitely in this particular match, I can't see anything other than Drew Galloway win. Either by DQ, count out, or him getting the pinfall, one or the other. Yeah. Next match I've written down is Leston Reeves versus Dave Rain.
I reckon they'll attempt a comedy match. It'll fall flat on its face, and Reeves will go over.
See, I've gone the other way because Reeves has had the upper hand a lot recently. Now, to keep this going, Dave Rain needs some sort of win, either via shenanigans or some other shape or form. Now, for me...
Well, I don't know, because the thing is, if they're looking to bring Chris Masters back in, reform the Legion of Boom, surely it would add more incentive for Reese to beat Reign and beat him up afterwards, and then that adds more fuel to the fight if they are going for a Masters-Reese rivalry.
Or they could use it in the match to cause general fuckery and cost Reese the match now and have Masters come out, perhaps. Because there's not many imports in this match. There's a couple of mystery guys in this event, but you've not got many imports in this, so Masters would be a good call in this. I'm thinking in this particular scenario, I'd say if Masters came out, fucked over Reese, gifted Dave Rain the win, that'd be a way to stick it to less than Reese and helps his friend. Or
maybe Rain gets like a roll-up win. Reese completely loses his shit and attacks Rain afterwards.
Win-win situation. That's the way I'd do it.
Yeah,
that's the way I would do it. I think, like I say, I'd gone with Dave Rain to go over just because of that reason alone. But like you say, you're saying less than Reese.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those where it'll either be a dominant Reese victory or a scabby win from Rain.
Yeah, either way. Either way. So, yeah, in other words, we don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Next matchup what I've written down here is the Hooligans and the Mystery Partner versus Joey Hayes, Martin Kirby, and another Mystery Partner. Now, I'm thinking in this match, it's going to be a mixed gender match. I have a feeling the two mysteries are going to be females.
Could be.
I think it's going to be the Hooligans and the Session Moth.
Yeah, probably.
Who would go with Joey Hayes and Martin Kirby, though? I would say it would probably be Lauren.
Yeah, could see that happening.
Only reason being, I think they've got a little thing going, haven't they? A little feud, or is there there's like the goth-looking girl, isn't there? As well as in the academy.
I'm not particularly certain who that is. You'll probably know more about it than I will.
I have seen her. I can't place my finger on her name, but potentially. But I'd rather see Lauren in the ring personally.
Yeah, it'd be good to see her in like an actual match rather than because the only PCW appearance like in ring that we've seen of her has been the Rumble.
See, I've been lucky enough to see her in a tag match at the first Academy show, and she was fucking brilliant in the ring. At least what I thought, anyway. And I made sure I let her know that at the end of the show and at the interval, because they were giving out free photos at the Academy show, with Lauren and her tag team partner.
Yeah,
I can't remember his fucking name, and he's on my Facebook list, so I do apologise, my friend. But he was great as well. But yeah, going in that match, I don't know. Possibly the Hooligans. Saying that, though, like you say, it can only be one match. Saying that, they've had no problems with putting female talent in mixed gender matches before, so maybe not.
No, I think this is one of the matches where it's sort of the results up in the air. I reckon. Yeah,
it could be anything. The main reason being is who are the mystery people. That's what's throwing it for me. If we knew who it was, I'd more than likely say the Hooligans, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to say the Hooligans probably will go over, but because at the minute Joey Hayes, Martin Kirby don't need it.
No.
So because they're over anyway.
Yeah.
They don't need it. The Hooligans, they're over. They don't need it. But out of the two, I'd say the Hooligans probably need it more.
Yeah, probably.
So I'll go with Hooligans on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Next on the list is Smooth and the London Riots versus the whole of Team Single.
This will probably be decent. Probably be like a out of control. It'll either be an out of control brawl or a standard 6-man tag.
With it being the London Riots and teams Rampage Brown and T-Bone, I can see it being an absolute cluster, an absolute monumentally brutal match.
Could be.
And then you'll have your technical stuff with Smooth and Bubblegum. So you'll have a mixture of best of both worlds, basically. And I can't see that being a shite match. I can't see it being a shite match at all.
Yeah.
It can only be, what it is.
Definitely.
Team Single for me to go over. Or possibly, actually saying that, if I'm going by the rest of the card, going over, I would say it probably needs a lot of heels. So I would say Smooth and London Riots.
Yeah,
possibly.
I'd put the firm down as winning this one.
Yeah, I'll go with that as well myself. Yeah, looking forward. Well, I would be looking forward to it if I could go, but you might be looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, should be a decent match. I can't see how it wouldn't be. Next up, we have Johnny Moss versus Dave Mastiff.
I'm not particularly aware of Johnny Moss. Wasn't he sort of like someone who was involved in the early stages of PCW?
He was. He's recently come back in. I've only seen him wrestle twice. He was originally penned to wrestle with Dave Mastiff on Too Good to Be Two. Was injured, so he was replaced with Cyanide. Now, he then had a match with Hardcore Holly at the Super Show 3, I believe.
Yeah.
And then he was away then, never saw him again until the Blackpool show that I went to earlier this year.
Oh, right.
And I think he's been booked a couple of times since. So, yeah, he's coming back in a way. He's all right in the ring, but he's not my kind of he's not my kind of guy, if you get what I mean. Not the kind of wrestler
I get what you mean.
He's good at what he does. He's just not my cup of tea, if that makes sense. It's like watching a genre of film that you're not interested in. But it's a quality, well-made film.
Yeah.
That's what I feel with Johnny Moss. He's not my kind of wrestler, but I know he's good at what he does.
Yep.
So that's the only way I can describe him. For me, though, because of the way people, just on reputation alone, the way they've been booked and pushed in the company, can't see anything other than a Dave Mastiff win.
Yeah, neither can I.
In fact, I've actually put Dave Mastiff down to win the whole thing. But like you say, you'd probably think Drew Galloway would be a good call for that.
As I said before, if they're looking to sort of like sell it on internet pay-per-view, the idea of PCW World Champ versus TNA World Champ would be a big selling. Well, it would be somewhat of a big selling point because it's TNA, but it would be Drew Galloway and Shah Samuels, and that would be a pretty decent match in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'd say it'll be a physical match for a start.
Yeah, to be honest, it would be more incentive for me to sort of check it out than see Shah Samuels and Dave Mastiff again, because to be honest, I've seen it already.
Yeah, we've seen that match a few times, to be fair, like you say. So yeah, I'm still sticking with Dave Mastiff just due to the fact that he's local talent.
Yeah.
And I like seeing local talent in the main event, and that's what I would. If I was Fludder, that's what I would do. But Fludder knows best, and he knows what he's doing with his company, and he knows exactly what he's doing. And he's done a very good fucking job of it as well.
Yep.
So I'll, trust in Fludder as we always have done. There's only one more match on the card that I forgot to write down, actually, because it wasn't on the thread I was looking at when I was making this list. But we've also got El Ligero versus Speedball Mike, what's his name?
Bailey.
Mike Bailey, yeah. Speedball Mike Bailey versus El Ligero.
I wasn't really aware of Mike Bailey until I looked up which promotions he's been in. He's done he's been featured in both Progress and Rev Pro. And he's done matches for PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. I managed to check some of his matches out, and he's a pretty decent high flyer. So I expect this. I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the candidates for Match of the Night, in my opinion.
Yeah, it could be. I would say I'm not familiar with his work. I'm aware of his reputation. El Ligero's El Ligero, the best worker in the country.
Yep.
I can't see this being a shit match. El Ligero does not do a shit match.
Nope.
Yeah, another great match. So, yeah, I would say El Ligero to go over.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Can't see anything other than that.
No.
Yeah, great match. Not really any duds on the card, if I'm brutally honest. Maybe the exception of Reese and Dave Rain.
Yeah.
Other than that,
looks to be a pretty decent card.
Yeah, possibly with the exception of my own personal taste, Johnny Moss and Dave Mastiff, just because I'm not a fan of Johnny Moss.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm not really aware of Johnny Moss and Dave. There are particular ways of like doing matches with Dave Mastiff.
Yeah,
if it's sort of like a lot of rest holds and chin locks and stuff like that, it'll be pretty tedious. But if they do what they did like with matches you had with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, if the high spots mixed with sort of like dub spots so they can catch the breath and sort of like work through what they're going to be doing in the next match, it'll be decent.
That's how you book Dave Mastiff, because he can do bursts of energy. But as you can imagine, with a guy of his size, possibly the cardio isn't the best. So high spot after high spot after high spot after high spot, which is what we'll get into in a minute, isn't possibly the best idea for a guy like that. But if you do sparingly, he's fucking amazing at it.
Yep.
You know, it's like, look at Vader, for example. You know, he didn't do his moonsaults often in a match, but when he did one, you know what I mean? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, just for me, like I say, Johnny Moss, if you're not familiar with him, just think of him as a good Ryback.
Yeah.
A very good Ryback.
No, it's okay.
So that was PCW. There can only be one. If you're going to it, enjoy. If you're listening to this after you've already been, let us know what you think.
I'll probably have a review of it on the next show that we do.
Yes, so yeah, Lewis Ogden's PCW talk will be on next week.
Yeah.
So, speaking of high spots and high flyers, there's been a little bit of controversy on the internet recently, and I thought we'll spend a few minutes talking about it. I watched it purposefully, left it purposefully for today, so it was fresh on the brain, and there's been, like I said, there's been a little bit of controversy, a bit of chat, both positively and negatively, about a certain match in New Japan for the junior heavyweight tournament that's happening at this moment in time. Yeah. Will Ospreay versus Ricochet.
Yeah.
Now you've seen this match, haven't you, Lewis?
I have indeed.
What are your thoughts? What did you think?
Well, I have aspects of wrestling that I love. I have aspects of wrestling that I hate. I love technical wrestling matches. I love high flying spot fest matches. I love fucking chaos, brawling all over the place matches. I think there's not really that many aspects of wrestling that I don't like. And for people to say that this is, a form of gymnastics, and to say that this isn't like pure wrestling, listen, pure wrestling was stuff that happened in like the 70s and like the early 80s. Wrestling has evolved so much since then. And I can understand why particularly people who, of the older generation don't like it, because they've grown up with ways in which they did stuff in the wrestling business. And they were always been set in their ways.
It's like old people who can't embrace technology.
Yeah.
They're not stuck in their own ways, and they're still, I'd rather listen to a record than a CD.
Yeah.
It's just one of them. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go on.
That's fine. So I understand. It's like, to perfectly sum it up, Chris Jericho recently did a tweet about it. I'll see if I can get it up right now. But it put in perspective what I thought about this whole thing as a whole, really. See, just searching for it now. If the internet would hurry up a little bit.
Yeah, we're having a few speed problems on both ends this evening, so if they hear a bit of audio if you hear the audio going a bit funny, then that's why. Have we hit jackpot?
Here we go, I've got it. Every sport evolves and changes, but Will Ospreay versus Ricochet was excellent in any era. Modern day Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid, unreal.
Got to agree with it.
That sort of, that sums it up. Every sport evolves and changes. And that's exactly high on the money.
If I can compare it to something that I'm into, like I say, I like my motorsport, I like my comparisons, I'll compare it to motorsport. Look at motorsport, Formula 1, for example, in the 60s. It was a tube with wheels.
Exactly.
It was all it was. Nowadays, if you look at the cars now, they've got wings coming out of wings. The sport has changed. The sports can't change from being the driver, sliding the car around corners, hanging on by the seat of your pants, to nowadays, where there's more downforce than anything else. It's just pure downforce. And it's still the same sport, but the sport's kind of changed. It's still two guys wrestling in a squared circle.
Exactly.
But the form of what they're doing is still wrestling. Now, there's, like I say, you pointed out, it's more the older generation that were brought up in the days of World of Sport and the old WWF days and things like that. The Hulk Hogan's and the Andre the Giant.
And the territory systems as well, even before sort of like Hulkamania really burst on the scene.
This is it. Like I say, wrestling going back to the 70s, it's completely changed from that. It's more athletic. It's more... People are demanding more pace, more action in matches, and this is what this match provided. Now, if you say, maybe the selling could have been a little bit better, I mean...
But that's not the type of match they were going for.
Well, this is
in my opinion. There are ways in lucha. I mean, you can even sort of look at like lucha libre matches, like particularly WCW in the mid-90s. Their lucha libre matches would be highly choreographed high spots where the selling wasn't really a major factor, and yet people raved about them, and quite rightly so, because the action was tremendous. This was what this match was. It was a showcase of, two guys. They're not the biggest in the world. They're pretty much like regular dudes. Okay, the conditioning and the fact that they're able to pull these moves off is a completely amazing feat of athleticism. But it was a showcase of as many innovative spots and innovative ways to amaze people.
It's like the two guys are working to the strengths.
Yeah.
And just sticking to the strengths. It's like, you would see, say, God bless his soul, someone like Umaga.
Yeah.
Doing fucking missile drop kicks and moonsaults and all this lot. He was a brawler and, the Simone, doing Simone drops, this, that, and the other. But technically wise, the match was absolutely perfect. Yeah. Not a foot wrong. I tell a lie, there was one slight slip. I remember listening to the Stone Cold podcast, and he talked about it very briefly and said it was technically perfect. Now, I had that in the brain. I was looking for it, and, being the cynical shit that I am, I was looking for slips and mistakes, and there was one little one when he went for... he slid out the ring, caught him in a head scissors, and kind of like Hurricane Rana'd him, or... Frankenstein'd him. And I think Ricochet didn't quite go far enough and ended up pretty much landing on top of Ospreay. But that was the only fault in the match, and it wasn't even a big one.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it made the impact of the move, look better than it would have been.
Yeah.
Instead of being a roll flu, he pretty much bounced on his head.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I don't think it was intended that way. Maybe it was. No. I could be wrong, but it did look. It looked better. Not look better for it. You could tell it was a sort of a mistake, perhaps. But it made the move look more impactful. The crowd seemed to be into it. So end of the day, who gives a shit about what critics think? It's about the guys who paid money and got their asses on the seats.
Exactly.
That's what matters. Their opinion. If they're catering for an audience, they're going to go to it. You're not going to.
Exactly.
If you're a fan of, for example, Preston North End, you're not going to pay tickets to go and see a Blackpool match.
No.
For example, if you're not a fan of the said product, you're not going to buy a ticket for it. So if they're going in to watch this sort of thing and they know this is what they're going to go seeing, fuck's sake, it was a junior heavyweight match. What do you expect?
Yeah. The amazing thing about it was as well is that Japanese crowds are very well known for being quiet and being, solely focused on what's going on in the ring, and not with all these chants or trying to get themselves over and stuff like that.
God forbid.
It would be death anywhere else in the world if you were wrestling in front of a Japanese crowd and they were doing what they do and just sat there in dead silence. But because it's Japan, they're emotionally invested. In this match, there was actually chants. They were chanting for Ospreay. They were chanting for Ricochet. There was even a "This is awesome" chant.
In fucking English, so they could understand
in
better.
In English and in Japan as well. That is unheard of.
Exactly. They did originally, to begin with, the first couple of minutes, literally, of the match, they were sort of quiet. But then after the first minute was up, there was a couple of rumblings and, a bit of chatter going on. The applause stopped after a couple of minutes and turned into, cheers, and it just went mental from then on. I remember there was a really high-pitched girl at the front absolutely screaming her fucking lungs off, when they were out on the outside.
Yeah.
Absolutely, high-pitched as fuck, nearly burst my bloody eardrums. But you never hear of it in Japan. Look, watch Wrestle Kingdom. Watch the first match of, the first match of the night at Wrestle Kingdom. Deathly silent for a while.
Yeah.
Deathly silent. That's how it usually is in Japan. But this match, it was uproar pretty much from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it's credit to the two guys in the ring to get them feeling that hyped up that they've got to make that noise.
Absolutely, yeah.
As
I say, if people want to criticise this match, they're more than welcome to. But the fact is, they're making noise about it. And most of it is positive because it was in the way they had a way they wanted the match to be, and they succeeded, in my opinion. And top notch to them because it was the match that they wanted to present, and it came off without a hitch. So a big thumbs up from me.
And I doff my hat. It was an amazing match. I can't knock it one bit. Absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Can't fault it. Speaking of something that we can fault, have you seen the Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy promo video that's been circulating?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I believe we get it in the UK on Sunday. Well, it's been on YouTube.
Only in TNA could you get this level of fucktardery. Someone actually filmed this, watched it back, and said, yeah, that's good. Let's put that on TV.
No, it's even better than that, my friend. They thought, you know what, this is that good? We'll put a fucking director's cut out.
I couldn't watch the director's cut. I saw links for it. I was just like,
I couldn't put myself through it.
No, I was just like, the original video, this cut version is 1 minute 53 seconds long. That's as long as I can take.
That's usually more TNA than I watch in a fucking month.
That's more than I've watched in about 2 years, man.
Exactly, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. I mean, the fucking table that they used for a start. I mean, did they rummage around the garage and look, what can we use, just lying around? Could they not get a normal table to put him through? That looked fucking painful. That didn't give any support whatsoever.
Fucking stupid.
It was ridiculous. And we're not even talked about the fake baby.
Oh, do you know what? I'm surprised that someone has not made a GIF of somebody of where whatever Matt Hardy's wife's name is, of her
Rebby Sky,
the baby. Yeah, of her chucking the baby to Jeff Hardy. I'm surprised nobody has made a GIF of that happening. That be the close up of the baby and then not cutting straight to Gene Snitsky with the baby.
I knew you was about to say that.
I'm surprised that nobody has done a GIF for that yet. I expect it'll happen in the next couple of days or something like that, but I'm surprised that it'll have taken this long to happen.
Either that, if you're going to keep it TNA related, where they've seen a GIF for something similar, where something's been thrown at someone, and you just get a picture of awesome con catch out of midair and start eating it. Oh, that would be even better, in my opinion. But, what the fuck is going on with Matt Hardy's look, by the way?
You cannot tell me that Matt Hardy is not on drugs.
Do you know what he looks like?
He looks like Sweeney Todd.
He does look like Sweeney Todd. Do you know what also he looks like? If you go into Poundland, if you're unfortunate enough to go into Poundland and wander into the toy aisle, he looks like one of them fake Seth Rollins dolls that you can get. The action figures.
I've not actually seen that, no.
They are fucking terrible, my friend. Stuart, if you do yourselves a favour and go onto YouTube and look up Ashens, and he does Poundland reviews and does action figures and all sorts. It's absolutely hilarious.
Right.
And he does these wrestling figures like you can get from Poundland and B&M Bargains and the likes. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, what a promo vid.
If you needed more reason to not work for Total Non-Stop Action, this is it right here.
This is it, yeah. You mean you can be doing this kind of shaky cam shit? He just has a random ring as well in a shed in the middle of nowhere.
The fact that this was filmed
is bad enough.
Insults me.
Do you think you've got a bit of? Do you think they had a bit of creative freedom doing that? So look, this is part of our contract. We can do our own sort of thing.
There is no reason in my mind to not think that this was thought up by the Hardy Boys, because they are massive fucking druggies, and only a coked up druggie would think up something like this.
I want to know who in the TNA creative okayed it to go to air.
Lad, it's run by Dixie Carter, who has no fucking clue of how to run a wrestling business.
I think she just wants to kill it. I think she's sure she just wants to kill it.
No, I just think she's just mentally retarded.
Maybe so.
This has been the case for years, my friend. It's been the case for years.
Oh my god! It needs to die. Someone needs to take TNA round the back of that shed that wrestling ring was in and shoot it in the fucking head.
Yeah.
That's what it needs. It needs to be put out of its misery.
Let's be honest, people. This connected with the fact that Bobby Roode and Eric Young are both owed $100,000 from TNA should be reason enough not to join. Just go on the independent circuit. You'll actually earn money there.
Do you like Happy Thoughts? We can pay you in Happy Thoughts for the promise of money. Yeah.
Fuck it.
Get fucked. That's why everyone's leaving it like sick of shit, but only desperate people are joining that fucking promotion. Unless your name's Drew Galloway and you're doing it to get back at WWE.
This is what annoys me of the fact that, people are saying that NXT is basically turning into the new TNA, which is bullshit.
It's bullshit because they're getting all the guys out of TNA that had talent.
All of the amazing workers from TNA are going to NXT because there are amazing workers. You wouldn't see fucking... what's a good example? You wouldn't see, Matt Morgan turning up in TNA, in NXT, I should say, because he's shite.
Indeed. He's fucking awful.
Shall we move on? Because I think we've given TNA enough of our time.
Well, speak of something else that's fucking awful. Is Paige's new tattoo on her finger. What the fuck? It says Pappy.
At least it's small.
At least it's small, but here's the thing for me. Would you put a partner's name on your body?
Well, no, not really. But...
No, I can understand having your kids' names put on your body, because your kids are your kids regardless.
Yeah.
Your partner, say for example, if I got with someone for a month, I got the name on, and then next month I found out they were cheating. I've got my fucking retarded name on my body for the rest of my life. Yeah. And if not, I don't want it. I've got to get it covered or lasered, which is more money.
Well, it's like Taker's throat tattoo of Sarah.
Yeah.
And then they got divorced, and he had to have it covered up, or so he tattooed it up, didn't he?
Yeah. Or you could be like my brother. He's got his ex-girlfriend's name still stuck on his arm, even though he's been with his current girlfriend for 3 fucking years. Oh, that could be awkward. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't. I wouldn't do it just for that particular reason.
No.
And I do. Fair enough to Paige if she digs the guy enough to put her name on her body. Fair play to him, and I wish him all the happiness in the world. But it's not something I would do.
No.
It's not, I've been with my missus now for 3 years. I've got 2 kids to her, and I've not got a tattoo of her name. I'm considering putting my kids on my body, but I don't got any tattoos whatsoever. It's not my thing. But I wouldn't put my partner's name on, even if I was married.
No,
it's just one of them things. What I would do.
Yeah.
Moving on. We've also heard about. Have you heard about Jimmy Snuka?
Yes, I have.
What are your thoughts?
Should be regardless. I haven't read. I've seen bits of it. He's not. I can't even remember his now.
He's been considered mentally unfit to go under trial for it. Now, what I want to know is people have known about even attempted fucking murder. You get put up for trial.
Yeah.
Right in this country. Now, in America, they've known about this since 1983.
Exactly.
Right? Why has it not gone onto trial now? Why has it taken 33 years to get him in front of a fucking judge? Or even, the promise of putting him in front of a judge?
Because the justice system throughout the entirety of the world is fucked, my friend. That's why. It's starting to change now, my friend. All the stuff's coming out of the woodworks, You've got all the... people being arrested in this country for, doing all the nice things that are done to kids. Mm-hmm.
You know, you got your Rolf Harris, who's now best friends with Ballbag Bob.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy Savile would have been caught eventually if he was still alive. There's loads of other people in the woodwork. You know, like Adam Johnson, football scatless Sunderland player. He's been sent down and been beat up. It's all coming out of the woodwork now. It doesn't matter how much money you've got now. There's been sort of like, there are catching people out now, which is what I think is happening with Jimmy Snuka, which is what happened to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
People don't give a fuck anymore. The thing is, though, it's turned upside down face on Hulk Hogan because he's countersued and successfully countersued.
Yeah.
For me, like I say, Jimmy Snuka, he should be made accountable for his actions regardless.
Yeah.
He should have been tried at least 30 years ago.
Exactly.
When he was mentally fit. I mean, he weren't that long ago when you think about it in the timescale sort of things. He was in the fucking ring with Chris Jericho.
Well, mentally stable or unstable, regardless, it's a fucking crime that, he's not in prison.
He should have been in prison 30 years ago.
He should be in prison now. Regardless of whether he's mentally unstable.
Yeah, he's a fucking Hall of Famer instead.
Yeah.
Absolute joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we don't want thumbs down.
Mm-hmm.
Thumbs down on that one. Thumbs up, though. Goldberg, WWE 2K17 announcement.
This infuriated me. They had this whole thing of promoting the hatch. Oh, look, it's the hatch. It's coming. Big announcement for Monday night. And it's a downloadable fucking character. This is like... For a fucking video game. This is like the fucking... Do you remember the Sting promo that they aired?
Yes.
It was fucking amazing. Where you had the fucking orchestra doing the classic version of the Crow theme.
And
then they all turn around and they've got Sting face paint on. And it's just like, oh my God. And then it flashes up. Sting is a downloadable character for WWE 2K15. Fuck off.
But the thing is, though, this is the point I'm going to get. It was a very interesting point that's been raised. People obviously, they're fixing ties with WWE, or WWE are obviously extending the olive branch to a lot of talent that they used, that they fell out with. The Ultimate Warrior for 2K15, he was included in that game. What happened? Yep. Got in the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, obviously, what happened, but they made them ties. They mended it. They, got back on good terms. He ended up being part of the WWE universe. Got himself back in. Like I say, got himself into the Hall of Fame. And they'll always have that now. And now he's even got an award named after him.
Yeah.
2K16 Sting, or was it 2K15? It was 2K15 Sting.
16, was it? Yeah.
One or the other, anyway. You had Sting. Sting announced for DLC. Next thing you know, he's performing in the ring. Maybe they didn't have bad blood. Maybe maybe they didn't have them tied. It was just professional differences because obviously he went to work for a different company. But they extended the olive branch, offered him the offer. He got included first. Possibly, in my opinion, put them in the as DLC for a video game and give them the announcement and see what the reaction is. If the reaction's positive, perhaps they'll bring them onto TV. Perhaps, I don't know, that's maybe wishful thinking on my part, but, Sting's, like I say, he was announced for DLC, and next thing you know, we have matches.
It might be.
Oh, you're there, Lewis.
Might be, or it might just be the thing of, it's a cash. Yeah, it's sort of going a little bit in and out, man. It's one of those where it'll be sort of like a cash cow for Goldberg, because,
possibly.
Let's be honest, he wouldn't be doing this for minimal money.
No, he's getting paid a packet for it. But I think he's going to have one match at WrestleMania, possibly against Brock Lesnar next year. That's my opinion, and that's that's what I'm hoping. Because it's an ideal time, isn't it? When you think about it, if they announce him for 2K17,
maybe. I'm not really interested, to be honest.
I'm not going to say I'm a massive fan of Goldberg. I'll be honest with you, I'm not. But business point of view, it's an easy match to book for WrestleMania if he's interested. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar, number 2. You could even bring in Stone Cold Steve Austin as a special guest referee just for that match and have a complete rematch.
And it can be just as fucking awful as the first one.
But yeah, it just screams that to me. It's all built for a WrestleMania match next year. And obviously, he's out for 2K17. The game will be available while WrestleMania's on. You can have your little kids going, look, I can play the match as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what it screams to me. And like I say, there has been a link, even if it may be coincidence, I don't know. That if you appear as DLC, eventually you'll get a contract, either it be a Performers or a Legends one.
Yeah.
So we shall see. But obviously, if you're a Goldberg fan, the outlook's potentially very positive.
Yeah, probably.
Potentially. What else have we got to talk about? Oh, yes! Seeing as we didn't have a show last week, we didn't touch on this. The release of Cody Rhodes and Eden Styles. Now, obviously, there's been a few developments since. Apparently, there's rumour. I've not seen any confirmation of this, so it's only a rumour that apparently Cody Rhodes has signed for New Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Because he has got a bucket list. He released a tweet with a bucket list.
Yeah.
And the majority of them were ROH guys. But there were a handful of New Japan. Now, think about it. New Japan do quite a couple of cross-promotional shows with ROH. And ROH talent goes over to New Japan. So it makes sense to either sign for ROH or New Japan. Now, for me, he would make more money in New Japan.
Yeah.
Plus his lineage and his background with Dusty, who was huge in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense for him. He could think about it as well. He could either join the Bullet Club, because all gaijins either get the offer or they end up joining. But can you think about it? If he was the first gaijin to go over and not join Bullet Club,
yeah,
that would be huge. He would be huge. I could see a guy like him being absolutely, taking Japan by storm.
Yeah, possibly.
I'd love to see him in ROH as greedily, and my own personal thing, because that would mean if he joined ROH, there's a half a chance he would come to PCW in November.
Yeah.
That's me being greedy and, being self-centered. But, I'll be happy for him if he just makes a shitload of cash and tells WWE to go and fuck themselves, if I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah.
Right, and we've also got the brand split.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
My take on it is, if they book the brand split the way they've been booking the weekly TV show, it's going to be pretty mediocre. Unless there's drastic changes to the way that they book, I can't really see this being as much as of a success. Like, if they book talent to actually get over to the equivalent of what Paul Heyman did in 2002 SmackDown 6 era, with Edge, with Rey Mysterio, with the Guerreros, with Benoit, with Angle, they book like that and actually start to build stars, then there's no reason why it can't succeed. But under this current booking regime, no one will get over.
Well, this is the thing at the minute. Way it is, it's very, very up in the air. Now, there's going to be two different writing teams, as far as I'm aware, and it's going to be kept very, very separate. Now, from what I understand, there's also a rumour that they could potentially close down the NXT show and bring a lot of their talent up to SmackDown. So, and that's you could build new talent on a bigger stage that way. Now, I hope they don't get rid of NXT and still use it as a a platform.
Yeah.
For maybe the guys that there's a lot of guys that's been in NXT that shouldn't be there now. They should be up.
Yeah.
This opportunity, bring them all into SmackDown. Bring your Nakamura's, bring your Baileys, bring your Finn Balor's, bring your Samoa Joe. Bring them into NXT, not NXT, SmackDown, and put them on there. And have them, hopefully they'll have their own events on the network. And you know what I mean? You're back to the days when they used to have pay-per-views that was just for one particular show. And you could have like Samoa Joe, main eventing, a WWE pay-per-view against the likes of Finn Balor or Sami Zayn or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Like I say, I came into watching wrestling again full time in 2010, So I was, past the heyday of the brand split. So I've never ever seen it done properly. This is what I'm kind of looking forward to.
If you've got the network,
which I haven't at the minute. But anyway, go on. Okay.
If you do end up getting the network and if they are on the network feed, go back and watch SmackDown replays from probably around about May, June onwards. And the character development and the way they push the talent in that is phenomenal. Like, really, really good.
What this year?
No, from 2002, I should say.
Oh, I was going to say, 2002. If I can get a chance to do that, I will do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, what would you think they'd do with the titles?
I'm not sure. Could be anything, really. I know I know when they combined both world titles, they did it because they just wanted it to be one world title, to rule them all, I should say. But there may be sort of like incentive to do a Raw title and a SmackDown title. I don't know, because I don't really know which would be better.
Well, what I would say is that perhaps don't have a Raw World Heavyweight Championship as such. Still call it the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, because there's no way they're not going to make Raw the main show.
No.
But with the NXT, if NXT does sadly close it down and just bring SmackDown up, maybe have the NXT name as the house show name, so they've got a show, talent can do house shows perhaps, but the actual show may close. If they bring the talent up onto SmackDown, they'll still obviously have the champions, the NXT champion, the tag team champions. They could quite easily become the SmackDown champion and the SmackDown tag team champions. Just a quick rename with different belts. The belts are already there. The champions are already there. You could also then bring, say, the US Championship over to SmackDown, and you've already got a Women's Championship there with the NXT Women's Championship. So all it is a simple rebrand, and you've got all your belts there. They're not bringing any more belts in. You're still, you've got the same amount of champions over, rather than 3 shows, it's 2. But you're not splitting belts apart. You're not ununifying belts. You're not messing about that way. You've got 3 belts ready to go on NXT, and just bring them up and call them the SmackDown Women's Champion, the SmackDown Tag Champions, and the SmackDown World Heavyweight Champion. That's the way I would do it. But maybe they just want one champion. Anything's possible. We'll know better. As we get closer to July the 19th is when the first live SmackDown goes on air. So we'll know more then. On that note, I think we'll have a quick break and we'll start talking about Extreme Rules and Raw. But in the meantime, here's a quick message from our friends.
Hey guys, Cox the Legend here from Lost Art Podcasting, reminding you to check out myself and Gareth's weekly podcast, Lost Art Podcasting. Essentially, it's a podcast where we talk about anything we feel like, including life in general, music, movies, and anything else in between. If you want to send us a topic in, you can do via our Facebook page, Lost Art Podcasting. You can also find us on Twitter and give us a follow at Lost Art Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Lost Art Podcasting. You can find us on YouTube, which is where we're going to have all our archive episodes. Mainly you can find us on Spreaker and also on iTunes for our latest episodes. If you want to keep up to date, make sure you subscribe. Give us a follow, give us a rate, anything like that. 5-star review would really help us out. But for now, it's back to Wrestlebox.
Hi, and welcome back to the Wrestlebox Podcast. We've got Extreme Rules to talk about, because like I say, we weren't here last week. So what did you think?
Honestly, I thought it was the best main roster pay-per-view of the year so far.
I can't doubt that. I'd say, it beats Royal Rumble into submission, definitely. For me, that was the best so far. Well, WrestleMania
beats WrestleMania into a submission.
Well, WrestleMania was dog shit. So, but... Yeah, I thought Extreme Rules was a very, very, very good pay-per-view, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
The Asylum match, was better than it had right to be.
People give too much flack for that match.
It was slow.
People call it the worst match of the year, and they quite clearly have not seen the TNA Knockouts pay-per-view. It is by no means the worst match of the year. It was just slow and boring and rather anticlimactic. Do you know why it went so long?
Go for it.
There was apparently supposed to be a 10-minute segment featuring the McMahons that got cut.
They cut themselves out of the pay-per-view?
Yeah, I know. As amazing as that is to hear, there was actually going to be a 10-minute Shane Stephanie segment, but it was cut. But what I don't get is, why didn't they add that time to the women's match? Why did they add it to the Asylum match?
Yeah, that match seemed to go quite rushed. You know, the women's match. What they could have done, if they had the spare 10 minutes, they could have split it either side. Give the women an extra 5 minutes and give the Asylum match an extra 5 minutes, rather than just lumping all the time on the Asylum match. Because for me, that match was slow enough anyway. It was like, it was all about climbing up the gate, the fence, getting a weapon, doing spot with said weapon, maybe the odd wrestling move here or there, and then rinse and repeat until the thumbtacks came out. And that's when the match picked up. Because you knew it was coming to a crescendo, and that's when, as soon as the thumbtacks went down, it was, right, plan A.
The problem with it is, for the 6 days that they had to build the match, it was built as being like this scary, unpredictable match where, you had to fear for the competitors' lives. But when push came to shove, for the majority of the match, it was treated like somewhat of a comedy match. Because the very first weapon that was introduced was a mop, and you had Dean Ambrose literally mopping Chris Jericho's face. Then you had Jericho getting the 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire, whilst Ambrose got the nunchucks, and Jericho quite rightly saying, your weapon is inferior to mine, and so Ambrose has to do this fucking, karate, green belt karate demonstration with the nunchucks to display that, it's wacky Dean Ambrose, he knows what he's doing with them. And that's the problem with sort of like Ambrose now, is that's the formula that they've got. They can't have him be like a psychotic killer. He has to be somebody who's wacky and a bit of a goof, and it's just the wrong way to book him.
If he turns heel, though, that could be one that he could be easily one of the most darkest characters they've ever had.
Absolutely. And
at this moment in time, I can see where they're coming from, because there's a lot of heels on the roster now, especially after Raw this week. A lot of top heels and not very many top baby faces.
Yeah.
So probably they can't afford to turn him heel just yet. Now, we get to see what happens with Bray Wyatt, whether he comes back as a face or if he comes back as a heel. We don't know.
He's got to come back as a face.
Well, this is it.
In my mind, anyway.
Well, this is it. I think they should turn him face, because he's been heel since, 2012?
Yeah.
So,
because the thing is, I mean, I hate to skip ahead of ourselves, but, you've got this thing with AJ and Cena. There's no reason why, after they've done all that, they can't do the club versus the Wyatt family.
Well,
I think a heel AJ versus a face Bray would actually be pretty good.
A few podcasts ago, they were saying there was a lot of trios appearing, a lot of factions. So we had the Bloodline, you've got the Club, you've got the New Day, you've got the Social Outcasts, you've got the Club, which you can't really, to be fair, you couldn't call them anything else. You can't call them Bullet Club, you can't call it, if Balor came up, you could call them Balor Club, because if Balor left, what they're going to call themselves. Yeah. So if you just call the Club, it's whatever it is. So you've already got about 4 or 5 there already. It wouldn't take too much thinking to put a couple more teams together, and you've got lots of factions of 3.
Yeah, definitely.
So I wouldn't be shocked if they did a little tournament, because Chikara do it, and it's proved quite popular.
Maybe
it's just something to think about anyway. Yeah. Is there any more matches that really stuck out? Extreme Rules.
Well, the Fatal 4-Way for the IC title was fucking amazing.
That was,
my third favourite match of the year for me.
Wow, 2 matches off one night.
Mm-hmm. Because you also had the main event, which was even better than last month's because it didn't have any. Well, okay, it had interference, but that was always going to happen. But it didn't have any fuck finishes.
Well, it's actually, it doesn't count as a fuck finish, does it? Because it's a no DQ match.
Yeah.
So you'd expect that sort of thing to happen. In the end, it evened itself out. So you couldn't call it a fuck finish, even if you tried to find a reason to call it a fuck finish.
Mm.
So, it was all right. It was what it was. It was a great match. The main event. It had how much of a beating did AJ Styles take, though?
It was amazing. Most people are like calling Extreme Rules from a couple of weeks ago the AJ Styles show.
Yeah,
because
he stole it.
He bumped like a fucking boss for Roman Reigns. Not to say that Roman didn't play his part. He did play his part, and he played it really well. But AJ, man.
AJ took the big bumps in that match.
He was fucking great. And then obviously, to close out the pay-per-view, we got the return of the greatest wrestler in WWE at the moment, in my opinion, Seth freaking Rollins.
Indeed, we got him back. We could talk about him for the first time on this podcast.
I know.
It's
so good to have him back.
He's a great wrestler, but he's come back with this gimmick, isn't it? Rebuilt, redesigned.
It just screams babyface. That slogan.
Hmm.
And have you watched the WWE 24 documentary on him?
I haven't.
Watch it. I watched it and I was just like, this adds more fuel to the fire of why on earth would I choose to cheer Roman Reigns over Rollins?
Well, this is it. Rollins
because it's done in the WWE sort of life chronicles, way of sort of like, build, referencing stuff from the past as well as sort of like his recovery time. It actually has like footage from his recovery time. I mean, this is a guy who tore his ACL, his MCL, and his terminus meniscus. Was told he would like be back within 9 months, and he's back in 6.
That's good going.
How the fuck are we meant to boo this guy? Especially with the amazing documentary that they did for him. I'm sorry, but he's more of a fucking babyface after these, and I've been told by many that his recent appearance on Jericho's podcast furthers his cause of being, one of the most likeable people on the roster.
See, I've got his podcast on my ready to listen list on Spreaker.
And yet he's been booked as the heel in the feud. Because it's WWE and they've no fucking idea.
This is it. I think, like I say, at the minute, they've got an oversaturation of heels at the minute. Turning a couple of guys' face would do some good. And I'm not even going to count Reigns as a face, really, because he's acting as a tweener.
Not a face.
He's a tweener.
He'd be so much better as a tweener as well.
Mm. He's not getting face reactions, not universally anyway.
Absolutely not, no.
Some places he gets more of a face reaction, some places he gets more of a heel reaction.
And it's the latter, really, for the majority of places.
Majority, yeah. Like I say, he shouldn't be booked as a babyface, no way. But
definitely not.
Yeah. What did you think of the women's match at Extreme Rules?
The action was too short for me to care about, even though I don't really care about either woman. And fuck the finish.
The finish was shocking.
You are trying to... WrestleMania was the culmination of turning the women's division around. And yet you're still booking it like we shouldn't give a shit.
Do you know what made me laugh, though? And he said, oh, look, it's Ric Flair. Is that Ric Flair? He has a wig on like he was in the fucking early 90s. How the fuck is that Ric Flair?
Well, that was just a case of commentary team being fucking stupid.
This is it.
It'll tie in with sort of like the random question at the end of the show, but I just don't care about the women's title at the moment. And it's a lot like the fucking way I felt about the Divas title. I just don't care. I really want to like it because WrestleMania was the perfect start. Raw after Mania added a little bit to it, but they're just going backwards again because they're fucking delusional and they're fucking.
For me, the women's division at the minute is better than what it was, but that's not saying a lot.
I completely agree with you that it is better, but the booking is so infuriating. I mean, you know, we were talking about it a couple of podcasts ago with Paiges that, you know, Sasha Banks is being kept off of WWE TV. Well, she was back this week.
She wasn't on Raw.
I think it was main event. She was in a match on main event. So it looks like they're easing her back in. But it's the catch-22 of, you know, you're not on TV and you're not being portrayed as anything relevant. But if you're there week after week after week, I mean, look at how badly Natalia's been booked.
I know. She's gone from
2 months.
I mean, she got bitched out to was it Dana Brooke?
Dana Brooke, yeah.
She got bitched out on Raw. And she was your credible. She was a credible number one contender for that division. And Dana Brooke's been in the main roster for 3 weeks, 4 weeks tops, and that she just destroyed her in 5 minutes.
They hurt her well before that, mate. It's like, remember that Raw match that they had before Payback? It was for the women's title, and Natalya had Charlotte locked in the sharpshooter, and Ric Flair pulled the referee out as Charlotte was tapping, and thus got DQ'd.
Yeah.
And what did fucking Natalya do when she was announced as the winner by disqualification? She got on the second turnbuckle and went, "Hey! But you didn't win the fucking title, you moron." That's like Lex Luger levels of stupidity.
It's like, oh yeah, there was a DQ. Yay, that means nothing's changed.
I won by count out, but you didn't win the title. Who gives a shit? Random babyfaces come out and parade with me on his shoulders as confetti falls from the fucking ceiling. You stupid fucking mark. Honest to God, go back on the network, watch SummerSlam 1993. I am not taking the piss. They have a ticker tape fucking parade for a count-out win in the main event.
No title change.
No.
Oh dear.
But for Extreme Rules, you should go out, watch the Fatal 4-Way match for the IC title. That was fucking amazing. Watch the main event. It was fucking amazing.
And have a giggle at the Salem match.
As well as Rollins returns, Seth freaking Rollins. And while you're there as well, watch the WWE documentary on Seth Rollins. Right, well, good, man.
Good. Should we go quickly into Raw then?
Yep.
What did you think of this week's Raw?
I'd say apart from the John Cena's return and to an extent the Apollo Crews Big Show promo, it was a nothing Raw.
Yeah, it was. If you didn't watch this Raw, you really didn't miss a lot. You had a match that involved the 6 guys that are in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which really didn't do anything, really.
Mate, I got up to just about that match, and I just gave up.
Well, I watched it. I
couldn't be bothered.
Well, I watched it in 2 parts because I got bored. If I'm honest, I tried to watch it on Wednesday night when I was at work.
Uh-huh.
And, I watched it in the evening when I was on my sleep, and I got up to the bit just at the promo bit where the Shining Stars came on, and I turned it off. That tells you something about the fucking Shining Stars.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought, shit, I've got a podcast to do, so I watched the rest of it this evening before I came on. And like you say,
it's a good job you did, mate, because I didn't. I
couldn't be
bothered.
you didn't really miss anything. Like I say, you had the Apollo Crews promo with Big Show, saying, that proving that not all the old guard are against the new era. But I can see it now. It's starting to look this way now. I can see I'm booking like 6 months in advance here, or maybe even 4 months. Actually, thinking about it, Survivor Series is going to be the new era versus the old era, where you get new era faces versus old era heels. I can see it coming.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I liked the promo with Apollo and Big Show simply for the fact that although Apollo has got the most amazing smile I've ever seen from anybody in the world ever, there is a time and a place to do it, and we actually got serious Apollo, and I could actually take him seriously.
That's it,
It was a new dimension to a character, sort of like a character. He wasn't smiling and grinning like an idiot like you'd see most white meat baby faces do. He was actually serious, and you could see like a steely determination to him. I quite liked it.
This is it. He actually looked genuinely annoyed about the situation that had happened to him, and that I think is something that was missing in WWE. Even actually in PCW, we used to see him as a Uhaa Nation in PCW as well.
Yeah.
But even when he was at PCW, he never had a serious style. He was always smiling away.
Yeah.
It's always. I think that's just who he is. He's just loving life and he's enjoying what he's doing.
Exactly.
But he needs to portray a character as well.
And it's very refreshing to see him look a bit pissed off as well.
This is it. You can imagine him being really pissed off and not to be someone to be trifled with. And that's what we got this week. And it was refreshing, like you're saying. It adds another dimension to his character.
And plus he's going to be going up against Sheamus, who, in terms of relevance, is quite far down on the pecking order. But, at least it's further up the pecking order than the Social Outcast or Stardust was. Plus, I reckon they could work a pretty good match with each other.
I think they could as well. I think they're building up towards something like the old era versus the new era sort of thing, and I can see it being like
Team Apollo versus Team Sheamus.
Yeah, eventually going that way and building it and building it and building it, and just having a back and forth pay-per-view to pay-per-view. And that would be a decent way to build Apollo, and it would give Sheamus something to do. And with him having a team, he wouldn't even have to do much of the work.
No.
You'd have to bits and pieces where they're doing, obviously if they're doing tag matches or they've got a rivalry going on, they do this, that and the other, but Apollo wouldn't have to wrestle Sheamus all the time, and Sheamus wouldn't have to wrestle Apollo all the time to get that heat, or, you know what I mean? So it'll be bits and dribs and drabs and things like that. And I could see them working a good program together.
Yeah.
Like I said, they would complement each other, the styles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it could be good. It could be something decent. You never know. We'll give it a bit of time and see what happens.
Yeah.
Just trying to think if there's anything else worth pointing out on.
We should probably run down Cena's return.
Yeah.
So, basically, Cena came out, did his patriotic American speech because it was Memorial Day, and he basically was talking about the new era. He was all for it, but basically the new era had to go through him. Basically, like, he's the stalwart of, like, the old era before the new era, or whatever they call it.
He was like the guardian at the gate.
Yeah, it's an apt way to put it. So this brought out AJ Styles. Very, very cool seeing AJ Styles and John Cena in the same ring together.
I mean, that was like a, wrestling fandom cream dream 5 years ago, a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So literally for the next 2 or 3 minutes, the crowd were fucking great. Just with dueling, let's go Cena, AJ Styles chants.
Let's be honest though, that Green Bay crowd was fucking awesome.
To an extent, until they started doing the stupid what chants whenever AJ was talking.
That's the only thing I don't like about crowds like that, is the continuous whats. It's one of them. It drives me up the wall. I mean, just let them speak. That chant should have died 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The character it was relevant to stopped wrestling 15 years ago.
Mm. And it's a smarky chant, but it's a chant reserved for, heels. AJ's not a heel.
Well, it wasn't at that point.
Well, it wasn't at that point. I know what you mean, but so after the chants died down, AJ welcomed Cena back, shook his hand, and that brought out Gallows and Anderson, who reiterated that they were willing to kick anybody's ass, even AJ's. So AJ took off his shirt, and then Cena took off his gear, but ran right into a AJ forearm. At this point, I started chuckling because I thought, what a way to bring Cena back in and him not burying Rusev.
Yes, because we were all expecting him to come in and just fucking shit all over Rusev.
Yeah, and take the US title back. But it's okay, because Rusev can just shit on Titus O'Neil. But I thought this was great, particularly the way that they kept leaving, but AJ would keep hurtling back to the ring and just keep fucking digging away at Cena. People have got like sort of it's the regular Cena formula of the guy that Cena's facing will win the first match, and then Cena will win the next 2 or the next 3. They're booked to face each other at Money in the Bank. I think what would be rather interesting to see would be if you had them do the Money in the Bank match, do the next pay-per-view match, and then build up to SummerSlam. You have Cena win the first 2, and then you have Styles win the final one at SummerSlam. Because yes, Cena wins the first 2, but let's be honest, they're on B pay-per-views. Styles wins the final match, and it's at SummerSlam. SummerSlam is one of the big 4, and it'll be the one that matters.
The one that people remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. So he's keeping Cena strong. Then they could have a stipulation match at, say, SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Some description.
But once again, it's the old age thing of saying that's what I would do. This is WWE, and it's John Cena. So I have I'm very skeptical about it. I know there's a big chance that it won't happen that way. It'll just happen the way it normally does, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah, we'll keep our opinions open, and we can see. We've never had an AJ Styles and John Cena feud before, so let's hope for the best. It could be worse.
Definitely.
We could have Sheamus versus Cena again. It could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could be a hell of a lot worse.
So yeah, I'll open it. I'm just happy to see a new feud that we've not seen before.
Absolutely.
So yeah, more power to it. And it's nice to see a little twist on AJ Styles. Turning heel. And it's Bullet Club being Bullet Club.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what they used to do in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, nice to see them and letting them do what they do in Japan and why they got so big.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was Raw. Just watch those segments and you've not really missed anything.
Absolutely.
The John Cena segment, which is on YouTube, I believe, maybe even on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really. There's nothing else on there worth coming home with.
No, not really.
Just read about it and save yourself an hour or 3. So, right. Well, in that case, then we've just got our random questions.
Mm-hmm.
So,
have you got any?
I've only got one.
I've got the one.
I've only got one.
Okay.
Basically, I just wanted us to talk about which was our favourite Preston City wrestling match that we have seen in person.
In person.
Yeah.
I've always had a soft spot for anything to do with the UK hooligans. Particularly if they're like stipulation matches. I think they thrive in that. The first match that I was completely blown away with, the 2 matches with Finn Balor and Chris Travis,
Do you know what? I never saw any of them. I've seen the first one on DVD. I was unfortunate enough at the time I couldn't get to PCW, and I missed both times that Devitt was there.
Well, I'll have to loan you the DVD of their second match because it's even better than the first.
I've heard.
It's even better than the first.
I've heard. Because that was on Who Dares Wins, wasn't it?
Yeah.
First one, so.
But yeah, I wouldn't call it like my favourite. Those my favourite PCW matches, but they're the most significant in the fact of those two matches were the reasons that I still go to PCW events today. Because, you know, it got me emotionally invested in Chris Travis, and then obviously when he fatally fell ill, you know, there was other characters, you know, that convinced me to keep going there month after month after month. Obviously, the imported talent was an added bonus, such as the business structure with PCW. But, you know, it's. I look at those two matches between Finn and Trav as the reason why I have the urge to go to independent events today. I think in terms of the best match that I've ever seen, probably the first showdown between Dave Mastiff and Adam Cole from the very first Super Show of Honor.
That was a cracker.
That'll always be my favourite because it made me a huge fan of Dave Mastiff and it made me a huge fan of Adam Cole.
Amen. Can't fault that. For me, I've got about 3 or 4 that I wouldn't mind talking about. And the first one, and now Darren will be listening to this absolutely splitting his sides laughing, because I somehow always seem to bring up, when I'm talking about Preston City Wrestling, and I'm talking about things that we've done or things that I've seen, always comparing it to the first show that I ever went to, and that was Too Good to Be Two. And I always maintain to this day it's still one of the best shows I've ever been to. And it contained, maybe not for me, it is the best match I've ever seen in person. And luckily it was on the first ever show that I went. And it was the Iron Man match between El Ligero and Doug Williams.
Bloody hell, that sounds like a cracker.
It was absolutely amazing.
Was it 30-minute, hour?
An hour.
Hour?
It was the first ever 1 hour Iron Man match in the UK.
Cool.
And El Ligero was supposed to be in the, I think it was a cruiser match against Dave Rain.
Right.
And beginning of the match, beginning of the evening, Dave Rain came out and he had no opponent. April Davids came out, and that's when April Davids became the Cruiserweight champion.
Ah, okay.
So obviously, during the main event originally advertised was meant to be Doug Williams, who was the PCW champion at the time, versus Noam Dar in an hour Iron Man.
God, that would have been great as well.
That would have been phenomenal. And we ended up going and seeing El Ligero, and that was the first time I've ever seen El Ligero. We went and me, Darren and Simon, we call ourselves the original band. I literally found out about PCW the day before the show.
Right.
And bearing in mind, I live in Blackpool. We all lived in Blackpool. And I never heard of PCW up until that point. So I've heard about it. I thought, oh, Doug Williams is there. Oh, I'm going now. Do you mind if I tag along? Now, bearing in mind, I've not really talked to Simon at this point for about 4, 5, 6 years.
Right, okay.
And obviously I saw him on Facebook. He was on this timeline. I asked if I could tag along. You know, tagged along. Made friends with Darren that day. You know,
okay.
That's how I met Darren. And we've just been going back ever since.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, like I say, I've got a soft spot always for that event anyway, because it was my first PCW show. But the match of that night for me was the hour Iron Man match with El Ligero versus Doug Williams, which Doug Williams won 3-2.
Sounds a cracker.
It was absolutely amazing. And bearing in mind, I'm putting that above the Money in the Bank ladder match that they had. they had a ladder match because it was in rooms.
Right.
They had they had space to put ladders.
Uh-huh.
And they had a ladder match. Well, they had 2 ladder matches in there. You can actually see the footage of, if you have watch the intro video every time you go to PCW.
Is that the one where Travis takes the bump off the ladder onto the ladder bridge?
Yes, that's the second one. It was at Fright Night 2013.
Ah, okay.
There was only about 200 people there that night. It was the smallest audience I've ever seen at PCW. Right. It was a really good night. We had Davey Richards and that have you there.
Oh, cracking.
It was a cracking night it was. But yeah, we had the ladder match there, and it had Bubblegum, you had Chris Travis, Joey Hayes, Dean Allmark, CJ Banks, and there was somebody else, I can't bloody remember who it was. There was another guy, I can't remember who it was. It was another good... Was it Kirby? It must have been Kirby. Yeah, it was Martin Kirby.
Right, okay.
So you had him, and that was a great match as well. But I always maintain, to say is one of the best matches I've seen at PCW as well, was at Super Show 3, and it was Noam Dar versus Johnny Kidd in a World of Sport match.
Right. Yeah, I remember you talking about this on a previous podcast.
Yeah, it was like, you were talking about technical wrestling and not a foot put wrong in the match between Ospreay and Will Ospreay and Ricochet.
Yeah.
This was that equivalent of that, but the other way, the polar opposite.
Right.
They had all the high flying and stuff like that. This was ground based, proper, like old school wrestling, and it was technically perfect. Absolutely perfect. And the only other match I really, that for me, that I would like to say I could put up there was the triple threat match at, what show was it? Super Show 4.
Oh, was it Bubblegum, Travis, and Mark Andrews?
Yes, that match.
Cracker match.
Yeah, Mark Andrews hit the light, didn't he, if you remember, in that match?
Jesus.
Doing a shooting star.
Yeah.
He hit his head off the lights at the top.
Yeah. I remember always, I remember showing my brother the DVD of that match and just staying silent for it. And you could literally hear Mark Andrews' head just go. Yeah. It's just like, fucking hell, did he hit his head on the roof? It's like, hit his head on that lighting fixture.
Yes.
It's like, fucking hell. And yet he got up and kept going.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
He wasn't the only one to hit the head on the lights that weekend as well, because even Guerrero did it as well.
Oh, God.
He actually hit his head as well. I don't know what he was doing, but he hit his head.
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing.
Nothing
springs to mind. It's constantly at a decent level, so it's hard for a lot of matches to stand out, which is sort of a double-edged sword of having a really good promotion, because if you expect all your matches to be great, you only really remember the absolutely flawless ones or the really utter shite ones. And the only utter shite one that I can fucking remember, and looking back at it, because I've got it on DVD and it's not all that bad, was the Addy Starr, Levon Dutch match at Festive Fury.
Right, okay.
In 2013. I'll have to let you have a look at that one, because I got it for $5 on the cheap. But yeah, looking back, it was awful. It wasn't that bad, but everyone was chanting, "This is painful."
Right.
And end this match, end this match, end this match. Now, how many times have you ever heard that at PCW?
Well, you never.
Exactly. Never. It was the only one time they edited it out the DVD.
Right. Okay.
I don't blame them, because it was pretty merciless. Now, bearing in mind, the match before that, before the interval, was Vader versus Dave Mastiff, and that was awful.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
Yeah, sounds it.
Dave Rain took a Vader bomb off the top.
Yeah.
And he didn't protect Dave Rain whatsoever. And pretty much nearly killed Dave Rain. Yeah, he nearly crushed his ribs. It was horrible.
Yeah, sounds it. It wasn't going to be my random question, but I'll sort of add another one to it.
Go for it.
We talk about best matches we've ever seen in PCW. What match have you witnessed at PCW that has had the best atmosphere?
Best atmosphere for me, where everyone was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" Like, that sort of thing. Everyone was invested in it.
Well, yeah, sort of like, that all sort of like constant noise being made. And when I say noise, I mean sort of like positive.
Probably the match that Austin Aries was in.
Austin Aries, Mark Andrews, and Bubblegum.
Yes.
That was a pretty good match, a pretty decent crowd.
Yeah, that crowd was hot that night.
2 examples spring to mind for me. First one was, do you remember I think it was Super Show 5, they had a 10-man tag match. So they had all 3 members of Team Single, Chris Masters and Jeff Jarrett, versus Lionheart, Mastiff, Rain and the Hooligans.
Rings a bell.
It's just constant chanting, and I remember the atmosphere being electric for that.
Another one. Sorry, go on.
And the previous Super Show of Honor 2, the match between Easton Reese, it was the 4-man tag match, where the babyface team was Dave Ray and the Hooligans and X-Pac, and they had Scott Hall at ringside.
I was just about to mention that match when I was just about to jump in just then. I was just about to mention that match. Special mention to us being complete and utter idiots for starting the chant, because the Hooligans came out saying they were pissheads, if you remember.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, we were stood in the corner where Scott Hall was, where X-Pac was, basically the face team.
Oh, shit.
And you remember this, don't you?
Oh,
and
do you know what? I'm only just realising the symbolism of this now.
Yeah. And
God.
Yeah, we realised what we were doing. We still quickly shut up because we started that and it got over. And we regretted it instantly as soon as we realised. Because obviously the Hooligans were saying pissheads. It
was okay when they initially came out, and Dave Ray was going like, "Well, you've got me, we've got a bunch of hooligans," and Zack Knight just takes them out and just like, "We prefer fucking pissheads."
Yeah,
and then that's when the chant started. I'd say that was okay because Pac and Hall weren't technically out at that point.
No, they weren't. The worst thing about it was when they came out and it was in the middle of the match. Me and Matt nudged each other and went, "Right, let's get Wolfpack pissheads out."
Oh, God.
And we started chanting it, and after we said it twice, it picked up, and then me and Matt nudged each other and realised, oh shit, what have we done?
Was that really what you started?
We started that. Now, bearing in mind, we did have a few Jaeger bombs down us. But, yeah, we realised it, we shouted it, and then realised, oh shit, Scott Hall is less than 6 feet away from us.
Yeah.
I was just thinking to myself when I said it, I'm either going to get the least I'm going to get is a toothpick in the face.
Yeah, and you'll just be one of those, just like, go ahead, I deserve it.
Just kill me now and put me out of my misery.
Do you know what? I've only just realised the significance about that now, and it's the start of June, which is April, May, June. That's nearly 6 months after it originally happened. Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it made me and Matt cringed extremely hard when we realised what we'd done. We felt bad, really bad. It was almost as bad as, we nearly thought we'd have to go on Game of Thrones and do the Walk of Shame. It was almost that bad.
There are very few things I want to see in my life, Paul, and one of the things is I never want to see you or Mateus doing the Walk of Shame, because it would just... I would need about probably 2 decades worth of counselling. No offence.
Oh, no, take him. That's just a regular night out in Blackpool. It's just, that's...
Remind me never to go out in Blackpool then.
You'd probably be wise about, not coming, if you don't come without insurance, definitely not. But yeah, that for me. That match, as I say, is up there, because the crowd were proper behind it. Yeah. Not always for the best intentions, like us, accidentally.
Yeah.
But it was a very lively crowd for that match, to say the least.
Constant fever pitch, yeah.
Yeah. Another match from that, just on the related note, the same night, as soon as Galloway came out on the same night, when he attacked Jack Barron.
And then it resulted in Galloway Dar-3.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember the spot? Do you remember that spot, though, that happened right behind us?
Yes, I do.
Oh, what
Drew Galloway hitting a pretty
Dominator.
much like a razor's... no, it wasn't even a Dominator. It was like a razor's edge. Two-arm dart through fire doors. Yeah,
it was... he basically did the razor's edge, which was very apt when you think about it. Through a set of closed double fire doors, which went down about, I think, 2 concrete steps.
Yeah.
So that was some bump. That's got
another. I know we're talking about big bumps now. We've sort of gone off topic. But also, that spot has also been used with the equivalent of Dave Mastiff doing a German suplex to Shah Samuels through those exact same fire doors.
Health and safety.
Yeah, no.
Those fire doors aren't that secure.
Threw the health and safety rule book out with those spots.
Well, especially down the bleeding concrete steps. Jesus bloody Christ. But yeah, well, shall we move on? Because I think you've got another question just to close the show, haven't you?
I've got one more random question. I saw this question on Twitter, and it actually sparked a couple of interesting responses, so I thought I'd bring it up on the show today. Which wrestler, or it can be any number of wrestlers, in the world at the moment, do you just not care about? I'm not talking about, like, hate with a passion, or hate even a little bit. People that you just, like, they come on screen, and they're literally just like X-Pac Heat. I don't care about you, I'm just going to fast forward through whatever you're involved in.
One that comes to mind is Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Straight away. I mean, his character's bland as fuck. I mean, he was all right when he had Ricardo Rodriguez with him. He had the cars. He had something about him. He had a gimmick. Yeah. Now he just comes out as just a Mexican. He's a Mexican guy.
Yeah.
He's got no gimmick. For some reason, I can't stand Heath Slater or what's his name now? Curtis Axel. Mm-hmm. Just do nothing for me. Oh, they're on telly, are they? Oh, okay. Right, okay. What's happening on Facebook? It's one of them, just not bothered about. If we're talking locally, before the Liverpool show, I would have said Dean Allmark.
Yeah.
After the show, I would say Dean Allmark's probably one of the best workers in the UK.
Did you go to that show?
I didn't. I've heard rumours of it. It's all been universal praise. I need to see this match.
Yeah, I'm
going to have to get this on DVD just for this match alone. Jeff Jarrett's another one for me.
Yep.
I mean, I saw him at PCW. He invited me into the ring, and I really wasn't that fucked about it. I didn't even react. I just said, look, I've got a beer in my hand.
Yep.
I could not be bothered. Anyone else? For some reason, I'm not a fan of CJ Banks. Don't know why.
I've never seen CJ Banks, so I don't really know anything that much about him. I know he's a good member of sort of like the clique that like Trav was in, and Joey Hayes and Kirby and Ligero and Danny Hope. Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, I've just never been a fan of his. It's nothing against him, it's just, okay, it's CJ Banks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just one definitely. Of them, he's probably a nice guy, but I've just not been a fan. I'm a fan of Joey Hayes' work, and I'm a fan of El Ligero's work, but CJ Banks, maybe not. I've not seen enough matches really to have my mind changed, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So I've seen him at PCW. I've seen him at Paid, which is now Alpha Omega. And no, nothing for me.
Fair enough.
No, good doing that for me. Going through another promotion, TNA, Bram doesn't do anything for me whatsoever.
No, quite right. So.
Jeff Hardy, nothing for me whatsoever. Even Matt Hardy nowadays. Pretty much the whole of the TNA roster, if I'm honest. What about yourself?
Well, Roman Reigns would have been at the top of my list, but he's been pretty darn good since after WrestleMania that he's sort of turned the curve with me.
He is improving quickly.
He is improving a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
I'd say that probably at the top of my list at the moment is Charlotte. I honestly don't give two flying fucks. I know people say that she's an amazing heel, but it's just been the same old shtick ever since she turned heel in October, November last year.
Yeah, I'm very indifferent myself, if I'm honest. I don't dislike her and I don't enjoy her work either, so
sort of Becky Lynch has sort of come into that fray as well. Like I think she's an amazing wrestler, and I think she's got the potential to be like a really good underdog babyface, but she's just been booked so poorly, as not only in PCB, but as PCB split up, she's not really been booked significantly enough for me to want to cheer her.
Agreed. What about Paige?
Paige, I'm okay with Paige at the moment, even though she's sort of like I think I sort of have like a soft spot for Paige, maybe because she's English, maybe because I think she's quite hot, but I think she's a decent worker as well. And you know, most people would probably say that Paige would probably be on her list. I think she's relatively fine.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, actually, in a way.
I think, particularly over the past couple of weeks, the New Day have sort of come into this fray.
Yeah, they're starting to grate now. I don't know if it's what they're doing or what they're doing. The same old's starting to grate, or if the quality of work's starting to drop. I can't put my finger on which, but they've not been the same.
I think it's the way that they've been booked, because you had that stupid time machine fucking segment on the Go Home Raw for Extreme Rules, and then this past week Raw, you had them dancing, you had them attempt to start a dance off between Shane and Stephanie, and I was just like, fuck off. Seriously.
It's like they're booking them to be goofy just for the sake of being goofy.
Yeah. Well, they don't need to, because they're naturally you can naturally do it. They're naturally like that.
This is it. I'd rather do it off. Just give them say, look, here's bullet points. Go at it.
Yeah, they're better naturally than they are scripted.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, man.
Yeah. Is anyone else that you can think of?
Anyone I can think of. Well, it's interesting you were going on about like TNA, because I was going to sort of like bring up Ken Anderson, but I hate him with a passion. I just think he's a dick. People I don't care about. Ring of Honor's BJ Whitmer. I know he was over here for like the first Super Show, and he was trying his best to be sort of like a cocky heel, but he didn't really do it. Doesn't really do it.
Yeah, you're right there. He was one of them. It's not. Yeah. I can't put my finger on it. He's just something there that's not. Doesn't excite me when I hear, BJ Whitmer's on the card. It's like, okay, fair enough. What's the next match? It's one of them.
Yeah. And probably to round off, closer to home, Easton Reese is just instant change the channel heat for me. I just think he's not particularly interesting, and he's pretty dull, even though they've given him with a shit Chris Masters gimmick. She's just
Yeah, so I remember her coming to the ring at the Academy show. The first one I went to, she was Rocky Future's valet. So I remember her from there, so it does seem a bit strange.
Okay, yeah.
In that respect.
Just trying to think of anybody else. Before his sort of like, his amazing, sort of like tag team with Martin Kirby, I didn't really care that much for Joey Hayes.
Yeah, I mean, Joey, I'll be fair, actually. I think I've always enjoyed Joey Hayes' work. I do enjoy him as a little cowardly heel. And he does have some funny reactions when he's in the middle of moves. Like, for example, if he's in a stalling German suplex, he'll scream. His facial expressions, exactly. So that's the way to book Joey Hayes. You've got to get that spot in at least one match. Once a match. Just do a stalling German. It's like, go, ah! Ah! I love it. Yeah. His eyes bulging out of his head, It's got to be. I do like Joey Hayes' work. Always have done.
Yeah, definitely.
No, have you noticed it's mostly overseas guys?
I think that's pretty much it. I can't really think.
That just shows you, like I say, the depth of talent that we have in the UK. That we can't. We think about as many guys as you can from the UK that you can't stand, and I can only think of one, and you can only think of one. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's one more that I can think of. It's technically an import. Did you hear about a guy called Chris? It was actually at the Road to Glory tournament earlier this year. Chris Dickinson. He had that match on the third show with Ligero.
Oh, the Dirty Daddy. Yeah.
I remember it fondly because it was one of very few matches in PCW where I actually zoned out. Yeah, I zoned out and I was probably stood there for about 5 minutes and my brain was elsewhere. And then literally just like, I don't even know what it was.
He had a match at the Blackpool show.
Did a bit of a double take and was just like...
It's called now.
Oh, the match is still going on?
It wasn't peer pressure, I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, Global Wars, because it was the one where Global Farce was here. He had a match against Johnny Moss, and it was a proper snore fest until the end. So it was a mad sick bump at the end, and I missed it because I was looking at my beer.
Yeah. Yeah,
so I was just looking at the beer.
I had with the Ligero match. It's just like
here,
the last 2 minutes of that match was really good.
All of a sudden, the crowd erupted. It was like
10
holy
minutes
shit!
Or whatever was just incredibly dull.
Oh, you all right? It was just one of them, I just said I heard the crowd erupt and looked up, and he was covering Johnny Moss for a pin. So I missed the fucking finish. So but shit happens. And I was thinking I was missing a great match, and apparently I missed one of the spots of the day. But shit happens.
So you missed the finish.
And on that note, I think we can wrap things up now. Do you want to plug anything?
Yeah.
Fair enough. We can find us on Twitter at Wrestlebox. Yeah. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Wrestlebox.
I'll be quite reserved. I'll leave all the plugins to you.
And you can find us on YouTube, which both of them just search for Wrestlebox. And subscribe. Subscribe so then you don't miss an episode. You can download them and you can listen to them at your pleasure. The Lost Art of Podcasting, our friends Adam Cox, you may have heard an advert from earlier in the show. You can find them on Spreaker, you can find them on YouTube. Just search for The Lost Art of Podcasting. You can also find them on iTunes as well now, so just search for them on iTunes, it'll show up there. Also on Facebook, it's www.facebook.com/Lost Art of Podcasting. Also look out for our other friend on YouTube, Mooch TV. Just look for Mooch TV on YouTube. And just look for our friends at the Wrestling Mania. Dean Puckering Ryan Devlin and John Huxall. They've just started they've restarted their podcast, the Wrestling Podcast, it's called. Just head over to www.twn.news. Well, that's the Wrestling Mania. Give them a like, give them a subscribe, and let them know where you heard about them. Anything else you want to add, Lewis? And it is from my end. I think that's a good place to call it a night. I've been Paul, the Hat Guy Flinders. And thank you for listening to the Wrestlebox Podcast. Bye-bye.
I think that's all golden from